BS.
What up, my dudes? I'm coming from the future, a place where you can beam sound into your ears. It's your baby boy Brank, and I'm coming from inside your skull to talk to you about Super BS, a podcast about video games. Mostly, I'm joined by...
Time Traveler JJ coming at you from outside your skull.
No, he's outside your skull!
Yeah,
You can't trust
just
him!
outside the skull. I've been like banging on the door, let me in, but you're not hearing my calls.
You guys gotta let him into your skulls, okay? We're just trying to get into your thick skulls. All of you listeners. Have you heard about this? I was just reading about this today. It is insane. I found it on Game Informer. It's about a new sound beaming device that allows users to listen to music without any headphones, and it goes directly into your mind. It is the weirdest technology.
How does that work?
I have no clue, man. I'd be very interested to see it in action. But yeah, that's what they're proclaiming, okay, on Game Informer. So I wouldn't trust them. I'd only go to Super BS for all your gaming news because they say this is real. And I don't believe it one bit.
Fake news,
Fake news, man. I got to get that microchip into my brain, bro. That's what I'm all about. So how's your Series X, bro? I know you've been playing it nonstop. I know you got one. We talked about last week. You're going to get one. It's so easy to get one. You just walk in a store and say, hey, give me a Series X. I'll have two. I bought a couple myself. How is it? Tell me how all the games play on it, because I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I've been imagining how they would work if I were to have one. And It's great, man. 4K, 8K,
10K.
teraflops, and ray tracing. Like it's everything I thought it would be and more.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that you got one and it's real and it's in your house right now. And I'm glad you're playing on it. What happened? Last week you told everybody in the world that you swore on everybody you knew's life, except my own, that you would get an Xbox Series X. And somehow everybody you know is still alive. So you must have an Xbox Series X.
That's it.
That is it. It's so easy. I was there. I was just on the computer. I was like, I guess I'll get one. And then I just clicked on a random website, and it took like a minute. And then,
you
got a brand new one. So, yeah, I'm living in the future.
It's Xbox Series X.gov.org.
So tell everybody your experience when you got the Series X, because I'm sure they'd love to hear about this.
Well, getting the Series X. All right, so here, just to lay it all out on the line for you.
Give us that line.
I did end up buying one from eBay.
No!
And it cost around $700. I gave into the scalpers, man. I didn't want to. But here's the thing. Much like Branky Poo here, I was on... So I got on the computer. Got on around 11:30, and I just kept on like refreshing pages, and I called you, or not called you, but I texted you saying, hey, Newegg has some, and then Newegg wouldn't let you just buy the console. You had to bundle it with something, and so I kept trying to bundle it with things, but all the things I wanted to bundle with kept selling out.
Okay.
So
you got one.
By the time I got that figured out, no. It kept saying in stock, but I didn't get one.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to add to
time,
cart. That was the worst website design ever, like to make this thing and say, no way to add to cart.
Here's the thing that's right. Here's the thing that really sucks about it. Between like the retail bots and the scalpers, who are probably the same people, they have you have a lot of these sites like GameStop and Newegg especially, they're making you buy accessories before you're allowed to buy the console. You can't get the console without buying a bunch of extra junk.
That's some real BS, okay, bro? I'm not having one bit of that.
Here's the thing, like, having worked at Best Buy, Best Buy does that too. Like, they used to sell Nintendo, like, when the Wii came out, everyone wanted one. They'd get a giant rubber band and bundle it like controllers and games and protection plans on it, and you couldn't buy it without purchasing all that extra stuff.
Gotta get that stuff, man. I don't blame them. They're telling you, hey, you're not getting out of here without buying more stuff.
Right. So I found one on GameStop. Yeah, like I had one of the big, like the ultimate bundle in my cart, and I was like, do I want to do this? I was so torn about it. Like, did I want to spend $900? And no, I didn't.
Well,
But
you would have at least got extra stuff. Now you're spending 700 for
yeah,
no extra stuff.
right. So, anyways, like I got on, I opened up like 4 different tabs on my computer, went to Target.com. BestBuy.com, GameStop.com, Amazon.com. I didn't even see Amazon's must have like happened in the blink of an eye because I kept refreshing that page.
I don't think Amazon has offered the Xbox Series X because they're, I guess this is kind of news. The news is going to be weird today. But the news is that a lot of people are not getting their Amazon orders if they order in September. A lot of people got a December 23rd release date for the Xbox Series X. So I don't know what's going on with Amazon. If you try to buy the Xbox Series X from them directly right now, like say you go on there and search it, it's not there. I don't know where it is, or at least when I searched yesterday. But yeah, I'm not sure. Did you try to get a PS5?
Yeah, so I went on because remember I had told you that I heard rumors that GameStop was getting more Xboxes the same night the PS5 was launching at midnight. That rumor was false, but while I was there, I kept trying to add the PS5 to the cart, right? I kept clicking the button, refresh, click the button, refresh, click the button, because I was going to sync to a new low and do what everyone else is doing and scalp it and then use that money for the Xbox Series X. But
gotta have it, gotta do it.
Lo and behold, could not get one, and because it kept saying, hey, we keep adding stock, just keep refreshing. So I sat there for a good 15 minutes doing that, and finally I was like, it's not worth my time.
Yeah, I think but I had a similar issue with the Series X. I got on the Walmart side, I got all the way, added it to my cart, got to the end, put in my credit card, clicked finish complete purchase or whatever, and there was like, sorry, error occurred. And then I tried that a couple more times, and it's like, sorry, there's no more of this item. It's like, why do you allow people to put it in their cart if there's not enough? You should have had the limit based on how many were in their carts. So, like, this was a very frustrating launch. I mean, it was a horrible pre-order system. It was a terrible launch. I think the fact that, I'm glad for Microsoft. They've said this is the biggest launch they've ever had. I'm just hoping that's not all scalpers. I'm hoping that at the end of this year, there are actually the people who want Xbox have it. Because if that's their thing and that's their biggest launch, and then all of them are going back to stores in January 2021, you can find an Xbox anywhere. You'll trip over them if you walk into a store, then, that's a bummer. That is a total bummer. So tell everybody about how much you love that scalper. Call him out by name. Give him kisses. Says you're so happy to give him an extra 200. You love him. He's your best friend.
Yeah, so that it really, we've talked about this before and we've disagreed on this, but it really makes me mad how these people are
But you said you were gonna do it.
The price. I was gonna do it because I was put into a point of desperation.
We're all there,
here's the thing:
bro.
have you looked online at the Sony PS5 prices on eBay? I saw a base model going for around $1,600. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, but
on a $500 item.
I mean, you could buy it for $800. Not saying that's cheap, but I'm just saying those models exist.
Yeah.
There's just crazy people that will pay that price. So I don't know what to say. I agree with you. That's dumb that people are willing to pay, $1,000 premium when they could just pay $100 premium. But I don't know how to stop people from throwing away money. I can't say hey, you're not allowed to throw away money. So yeah,
and I wonder too if coronavirus, COVID created the circumstances for this to all go down.
I mean, it's
because normally I would go and this is what I did for the Xbox One. I would go to Target and just wait outside until the store opened, and I would grab one while I was there, and that was a lot easier and less frustrating for me. But here, Target, Best Buy, I think, and GameStop, none of those GameStop got some, but Target and Best Buy did not get any physical units or they had physical units, but they weren't selling them in store because they were trying to limit the number of people going into the store or lining up outside the store. So
yeah, it's a weird thing.
If it were just a regular time, I would have been able to just line up outside early, and then get in there when it opens.
Yeah, so the GameStop near me, I went in the next day. I asked them casually if they had one. Of course, no. But like, I guess they got 8 Xbox Series X's in. I didn't ask about Series S. They probably got 0 because there's no disk drive. And there were 32 people in line when the guy walked in. It's like, why would that many people wait in line? And it's been cold,
right.
Relatively cold here in California, colder than it normally is. So it's like, yeah, man, this is gonna be annoying, I think, till about January, February, March. I honestly think by early next year, you will be able to get one fairly easily. But who knows till then? Like, I'm gonna try again on Black Friday. It sounds like you've already bit the bullet and you paid a premium. I'm not gonna do that.
I know. I keep seeing all the articles on like IGN saying don't give in to the scalpers.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm glad that you're helping someone, be able to buy Christmas gifts for their kids or whatever. But it's like,
I'm not just doing that. I'm paying an entire like college tuition.
Oh, you're $200, man. Man, college dropped. Their tuition got really cheap. $200 now. Everybody knows from JP here, a college graduate, that college is $200 in America, and those people still take out $10,000 student loans, man, for that $200 tuition. But you did buy, even though you don't have the Series X in hand, you did buy, you and I have both been playing what would be next gen-ish games. What did you buy? And I assume played nonstop. You're going to talk about it here and tell everybody how you loved it, how you played it.
So I bought, what did I buy? I bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I was super stoked about it.
And it's the best.
And so I get home, So as I've discussed before, like, my Xbox's disk drive has been like on the verge of just taking a total dump for a long time.
You got to clean it up.
When I installed, started to install Valhalla, it finally just stopped. Like, it had enough. So the game got about 3% installed, and then the Xbox just was like, nah, F it, I don't want to do this anymore, and it just stopped. It won't read anything now. It won't read DVDs, it won't read Blu-rays, it won't read other games. It just, the disk drive does not work anymore.
It was programmed to do that. They knew when the Series X was coming out, so they in 2013, before they launched your day one Xbox One, they're like, hey, their disk drives are only going to work till November of 2020, and they need to buy a new box at that point. They did it.
That really would not surprise me if they did something like
this
that.
Is the new conspiracy. You heard it here on Super BS. This is the one we all need to get behind. The disk drives just happened to break on November 10th of 2020.
How convenient.
I bought both of the mid-step consoles. So I have a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. I would love to get a Series X and a PS5, but at that same time, like, I'm not in any rush. I did not buy Valhalla. I think a lot of it is just because, well, one, you and I have talked about it. It's going to be cheap here soon, so it's kind of hard to get it. But But on top of that, I just also would rather play it on the next gen. It feels like a next gen game, even though it's, I've seen the videos. It looks great on the current, like, mid-generation consoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we talked about, I did not get an Xbox Series X either. I think you've touched this game, though. I have been playing Gears Tactics, which runs really well.
Okay, yes, that's right. I did. I played the first couple hours of that game on my Xbox, and actually this week, and actually, like, it is fun. Like, are we talking about this right now?
Yeah,
or
no, let's talk about it, man. This is a weird episode. We're recording at a different time than normal, just so you guys know. So news is essentially non-existent. This is going to be very free form, but we'll still talk about some interesting stuff that's kind of happening. But yeah, about Gears Tactics, man. That's something that we've talked about playing on the show. We now have had a chance to play. Tell me what your thoughts are.
So I like it. I mean, it's fun. I love any chance I get to dive back into the world of Gears.
Yeah.
But, I guess, like, my one complaint about it is that Gears is such a fast-paced game, and they turned it into a tactical game. So it's
what are you
something like-
talking about? It's
like-
not called Gears Tactics. It's called Gears Fast Pace.
I know, but I mean with Halo, right? They turned with Halo Wars, it became like a
RTS.
an RTS game, right? Yeah, but they did a good job like keeping the pace of that on task. Whereas with Gears, you're so used to just running through buildings, run through more buildings, cutscene, run through more buildings, With this one, you get into a skirmish and it takes you about like the slowest skirmish, the longest skirmish I played in was about 45 minutes, and that was the first one.
But that's multiple fights. Just to give everybody a clear overview, it's not like. And if you remember a Gears level, they're kind of long too. Like if you play Gears 1 again, like a normal level is 30, 40 minutes. I'm only gonna be the contrarian because one, I actually think it fits perfectly in the world of Gears. Gears is a cover-based tactical shooter. This is a tactics game where your main thing is you need to stay behind cover. I love it. Yeah. There are issues. I'm not going to deny that. And my biggest issue is like, especially that first mission, some of the missions are too long and there's no option to save. So, once we get a Series X and we can quick resume, who cares? Because we can open 5 games or do whatever.
Yeah, so that'll be I get you.
Yeah, for me, that's honestly my biggest complaint is I really dig it. There's some other stuff, we'll talk about once I get your opinion on it. But my biggest complaint is when you play a mission, you have to play through the entire mission. There's no save scumming. If it's too long, you better hope it remembers your resume when you wake up in the morning. And who knows? We'll maybe talk a little bit more about this because it's next gen, but like people are saying not every game works with quick resume right now. So they're like going to have to patch it back into some games. Yeah, that was like something that's been going on. These next gen consoles, I mean, when you get them early, they tend to be buggy. That's the thing. But what do you think about the story, or have you played more than just the first mission, or is that all you've had the chance to touch?
I have, so I mean, I got through the first mission, did that cutscene, played a little bit of the next one, but that's about as far as I've gotten. Yeah. Okay,
so there's a lot of cool stuff. I think the characters are good. I wish they wouldn't have as many, or I wish they wouldn't have other gears that you can recruit, because you pretty much need to play with the main characters, the ones that have names, because you can only bring 4 gears into a mission. So I'm a big fan of XCOM 2, and XCOM 2 allowed you to upgrade to be able to bring more characters into missions. I don't think Gears is going to have that option. I finished the first act. It's a 3-act game, so I've played like 8 missions so far. Or no, 6 missions. I think it's 6 and then 8 and 8. I looked like how long it was. And it's great. I love it. I'm actually having a blast. I think it's really fun. I think it fits really well in the world of Gears. My biggest complaint, like I said, is the save issue. But if I was going to be nitpicky, there's several things I don't dig. I don't dig that they essentially give you the choice of recruiting gears, but you can't like make a gear, which is what you can do in those other games. Like XCOM 2. If you want to make a new character, you do that. And then you can make them whatever you want. In Gears, it's like you choose from a preset list of named characters. And like I said, I have 3 named characters in my party, like 3 story characters in my party, and you can only take 4 characters into missions. Actually, scratch that. I have 4 characters in my parties, but 3 of them are story-based characters, and the 4th is Coltrane, which is a DLC character. So if I want to play with all the named people, that's my whole party. And I have to play with 3 of them for most of the main missions. So it puts you in a place where like you're still leveling these characters up. So you want to take them into missions. So I have like 2 other classes, like Scout and Heavy, which the game is like Scout, Heavy, Support, Vanguard, and Sniper, right? It's I think it's 5 classes. And then you have Jack, who acts as like a 5th member, but until you get to the end, he can't attack. He's just like a buffing character. But yeah, like I dig it, but it is kind of frustrating to be like, oh, hey, I like these characters, but I can only bring 4 and I have 3, so I get to choose one other character. And then like, how do I choose that character? You know what I mean? So that's kind of my biggest complaint. Otherwise, I dig it.
I haven't gotten to that point yet. So do each of the characters have their own special perks?
So every class has its own skill tree, and all skill trees have essentially 2 choices. Besides Jack, he has like 4 choices, but they have like no. I guess every class has like 4 skill choices because you can go left, then you can go down, or you can go up, right? And that kind of makes your character act differently. But going left is going to bring you down one broader path, and then going down will make it more narrow. Going up will make it more narrow. I can't really think of too many good examples, but like. Okay, here's an example I can remember. Support, which is what your main guy, Gabe, he plays as. There's one side of the thing is mainly focused on healing, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the other side is focused on.
That's the stim grenades,
yes.
right? That's what.
But
those
he has
are for?
other healing moves that you can get too. And then there's also passives and stuff. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. You don't level up though very often, so I haven't gotten too far into the skill tree. But I play every mission I can with Gabe because I know I have to play the story missions with him. So, and then on top of that, there's also like a, equipment mechanic, which is kind of neat. And at the end of every mission, you can, depending on how many cases you get in the game, you can get between 3 to 5 pieces of equipment in total. So you have to decide like which gear gets that. And some equipment is gear specific based if it's like weaponry or not. All that stuff is really neat. I just don't know if the game needed it because so much of the game is story focused. Like there are side quests, but if there's like 2 side quests, it will give you a number for how many you can do. So say it's like do 2 and there's 3. So once you do 2, it moves you forward. It progresses you. So you can't finish the third side quest.
So do you eventually get more, more moves? Like I know you're limited to 3 per turn, right? For each character?
3, yes. You can add perks that will give you like extra moves based on certain things, but I haven't seen any like skill that's like get a 4th action point. Like if I saw that, I would choose that every time. But yeah, you can make it so like Jack will buff you and give you a 4th action point. You can make it so if you fire or if you reload with your sniper, she'll get an extra action point the next turn.
Okay.
There's so many good things about this game. Honestly, I think it plays like a great XCOM clone. That being said, I think XCOM 2 is better than it, but I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a blast, and it's part of Games Pass, so I can't recommend it enough. Like, it's just a game I turned on one day because I have Games Pass. You know what I mean? Like, it was no need to, like, invest in it. There was nothing other than time that I wasted, so... Are you going to play a lot more of it, do you know, or what do you feel?
I would like to. Yeah, I would like to. I guess I can play. I'll probably play some more. The Xbox that I did get off eBay won't be here till Thursday, so I'd like to play that. I also would like to finish Night in the Woods. I'm on like the very, very last part of the story.
Okay. Is it getting better? Like I never went back to it. It's neat, but it's just so story heavy walking sim.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is. Like when you get towards the end of it, you start to get a lot of achievements just by like tying up loose ends because you're building relationships with the characters as you're going, playing through the game.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get to the end of it, you start to like tie up those conversations and those little loose storylines. So you start get all the achievements start popping in on the screen. Right now, like I'm finally trying to like figure out or find out who's killing people, and so I did. You have like I guess you could call them loyalty missions, kind of like Mass Effect.
Okay.
So where you have they go and they help you do this one thing, and then you do something for them. You do a favor for them. So there's 3 friends. So I have 2 friends left, so I think that's the end of it. After that, I'm pretty sure. I'm hopeful. Because I don't want to play anymore.
It sounds like you love it. It's a really neat game, but I think it's because RPGs exist that I really struggle with non-role-playing games that are like, hey, all we do is story. Because even if it's really cool and it's really artsy, if it's more than 2 hours, which is kind of the limit. Like, I loved What Remains of Edith Finch. That game's great. I loved Gone Home. That game's also great. But once you get to, like, the 2+ hour mark and all you're telling is a story, I start to lose interest. Like, it starts to be hard for me to focus because it's a game. It's interactive media. Like, it's something that you could do more than just tell a story. You can make your character do actions. Obviously, Night in the Woods also has that really fun base plane mini game. There's hopefully other mini games. I didn't get very far, but the base plane one was pretty neat. But yeah, my experience with it reminded me of like, oh, this is cool, but it seems like it's going to be kind of long. Like, it didn't seem like it was a 2 or 3 hour game to me.
Yeah, so I mean, don't get me wrong, like I enjoyed it, definitely enjoyed my time with it, but it is very repetitive. So it's not something that like I would want to play over and over again.
Yeah, man. I think that's like the negative too about Games Pass is because we have Games Pass, there's so many games. So unless the games really grab me, I don't really play them very long. I think it's an amazing service, and I love the idea of like, oh, I want to try this. I don't want to really pay money. I don't want to waste that. But it also makes it so because I didn't actually pay for it, I didn't invest anything, it's easy for me to put down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I need to spend the time playing. I think that's the problem with all of these services, Netflix, games, Games Pass, PS Now, Spotify, because we don't actually put money into the specific products. Like, you don't feel the necessity to finish them. And that's not really a negative, honestly. The truth is, like, only the best things now we finish. Whereas, like, back in the day, if I had purchased Night in the Woods for $50, you better believe that I would have finished that game. Because it would have been, like, quite a bit of money,
It was, it was you paid for it.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, you should get back to Gears Tactics. I think you'll dig it. There's just so many good things to it, and if you haven't played it yet and you're on this podcast or you're listening to this podcast, if you're on this podcast, then you need to play more of it. If you're listening to this podcast, play it. Try Night in the Woods. There's so many good Games Pass games, and I think the service is only going to grow. I don't remember if we talked. Oh, I think we did talk about it briefly, but yeah, they added EA Play to it last week, like right after or right the day that the Series X dropped. And just like looking at that and seeing Jedi Fallen Order, seeing all the old Need for Speed games, all of the Mass Effects, all of those games where it's like, wow, they have actually really deep catalog. There's probably like 30 or 40 games, maybe even more, that were added to Games Pass. That's like, I haven't even had time to look at all the games being added. I haven't even tried the new Series X games like Tetris Effect Connected. The Series X thing of the PlayStation 4 game that came out a couple years ago. I haven't played a ton this week because we're recording so quickly after our last one. Even though I was complaining about Apex, I have played quite a bit more, and they've fixed a little bit of their progression, so I'm still giving that a shot. I also turned on Hearthstone, which I guess I should talk about real quick because back in the day, Hearthstone was this really cool, this was kind of before every game was a service. It felt like they created it, and you could get daily quests. Every day you get one daily quest, and it'd be a certain amount of gold, and with that gold you could buy card packs, right? So Hearthstone finally did what everybody else did, which they made a season pass, essentially. They call it the Tavern Pass, I want to say. And with that, you now do these quests and achievements, and these give you points, and the points end up giving you levels, and the levels give you things. And a lot of those things are good. Some of it's still gold. Some of it's like card packs. Some of it's whatever, right? The thing's cool. But yeah, it's now made things a lot trickier for me because I was a casual Hearthstone player. And some of the dailies can be done in a couple matches. So, if you're like a hardcore Hearthstone player, this is way better. There's way more to do now. You got weekly quests, you got daily quests. They added a new mode called Duel. But if you're like me and you enjoy playing it on the side, like maybe every few days you checked in and played one match, it's not bad, but it definitely is going to make me feel like, oh, I'm not even going to get to level 20 of this Tavern Pass. Should I even try at all? Yeah. So, yeah, man.
This is a card game, right?
Yeah, Hearthstone is a card game made by Blizzard. Originally, I want to say it came from the World of Warcraft card game they made. That was a physical game. They used some of those ideas and then brought Hearthstone to life. I never played the physical card game, so I don't know. It wasn't called Hearthstone. It was a lot more complex. They had like 4 5-player raids or something from what I heard. But yeah, it's neat. It's just weird watching more and more games become live service games. And I imagine it will be the future, but we actually have a little bit we can talk about that in the news. So I'll save that because we're gonna get probably into live service games with some of the news. And like I said, it's very little news. But you also, besides not playing Valhalla, which is what you should have been playing, you did get a chance to play some classic games. You want to tell people about them and what you thought?
Yeah. So I've been playing more on the arcade 1-up,
Nice.
And the cool thing about this is that you can like add your own games to it. So like we love Galaga in this house, and like we have we have Galaga in a bunch of different forms, but like I want the experience of playing it like on a legitimate arcade. So like I put Galaga on there, and because the Ultimate Legends thing is so much better than the arcade one up stuff, because it's like it's not cheaply built. You know, like the arcade one up, anytime you move the joystick, the little like ball on top comes off.
Okay.
So it's a really nice cabinet. So like we put that on there, and we have some of the stuff from Sega that we also have on Sega, like Power Rangers and Virtua Fighter 2 on there, and like it's we've been playing some of that stuff. I forgot that like I am not very good with the 3-button things, because just trying to figure out like what the combos are. But it was nice to be able to play. This cabinet is very responsive, and the joysticks work really well. It's got the little rollers, and it's got the spinners. It's got side buttons on there, so it's really cool. It's I don't know. It doesn't do like, when you go into an arcade and a pizza place and it saves your high scores.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that, and I guess that's my only complaint about it.
You might be able to program that in. Like, it might not be very hard to save it. I'm assuming there's some like micro SD or USB stick in there.
So I think it's all the games are on a hard drive. I plugged in a USB stick for some of the others though.
Okay. What's your favorite thing besides Galaga that you've played on there?
So I love Space Invaders. So
Okay.
that had it comes stock with Space Invaders. I haven't had a chance to really fool around with some of the other things on there.
Okay.
It has Burger Time on. It's got the old like
Nice.
Star Wars games that were eventually ported to the Game Boy.
You need to get Tubin. You got to get Tubin on there, bro. Do you remember that game?
Tubin?
Yeah,
No.
you ride a tube. Let me see how it's spelled. I think it's Tobin. No, that might be the politician. Yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, Tubin. Toobin apostrophe. It's an arcade game. It was on the NES, so I played it there. But I also remember it in the arcades. And all you do is ride like a tube, like a tire tube down a river, a lazy river style thing. You try not to get hit, and I don't remember a ton about it, but I just remember it being like a hilarious looking game. And the characters, they have awesome names. Let me see if I can remember them. They are Biff and Jet. You can play as Biff
and Jet. Nice.
Biff and Jet, man. You should get Tubin and Blitz, dude. Those are games that every arcade cabinet needs. Tubin and Blitz.
Is that NFL Blitz?
Dude, of course. Yeah, man. Did you ever play NFL Blitz?
Right. Yeah, I did.
That game is incredible. NFL Blitz is like probably the best sports game ever made. I either like that or NFL Street, NFL Street 2.
NFL Street on Xbox was fun.
Oh, that game's incredible. I'm not a huge sports game guy, but that was the era of gaming sports where I loved it. That the Dreamcast had like the NFL 2K series. That was incredible when it came out. Man, there's so many good games. Well, that's going to be fun, man. That cabinet will hopefully provide you hours of fun.
Hours and hours.
Besides Tubin, what are you looking forward to playing next on it?
I'm hoping. On the arcade cabinet stuff. I don't know. I'd like to do some of the old Sonic games, but we'll see how. We'll see. I have a feeling when the Xbox gets here, I won't be like too keen to play the arcade for a little while.
Play Commander Keen. That's what you should be doing. Don't be just keen on playing it, which is what you said, and I listened to you correctly. You said I'm keen on continuing to play it. Be Commander Keen, okay? Everybody knows Commander and Keen. Loves that old Apple II game, I want to say. Actually, Commander Keen, I want to say, is made by id. Let me see. Yeah, it's made by id Software, the people who make Doom. They were gonna do like a weird remake on phone or something this year, I remember, and I think it just died. I think it's like not talked about anymore. But the original Commander Keen, man, as a kid, I loved that game. That game was so much fun. Any other games you've been playing for? I take us to the news and kind of what we're going to talk about for the rest of the episode.
No, nothing in particular.
Well, let's bring them back, baby.
Boom.
Super PS. Now we're back. Everybody's loving it. We got all the news this week. This is the craziest news week you've ever heard in your life. We've got, count them, 3 stories, which is like the most we've ever talked about. A baker's dozen, some would say. This news is insane. Everybody's going to go wild the second I say it, so don't get wet just yet. Everybody knows that quote. Complete. So this is what I think we were all waiting for, because we couldn't just wait for the remasters to come. There's going to be the complete Neo collection was announced, which I've talked about the original Neo on Old Super BS. I played some of Neo 2 at the beginning of the pandemic. So yeah, they're going to resell a remastered version of Neo and Neo 2 for the PS5. Now, just to give you some background in case you weren't following, Neo 2 came out this February, February of 2020. They're going to be selling Neo and Neo 2 remastered February 5th of 2021. Now, there's some silver lining good news here. If you own the Neo 2 like complete edition, you can upgrade to the remaster for free, but there's no option that I know of yet for the original Neo to be upgraded for free. So if you want to play that, you're going to have to rebuy it. But this actually kind of leads me to something interesting that I was worried that would happen, and it seems like it's already happening. How long do you think it's going to be till they just start bombarding us with remasters? We already know about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. We now know about this. Like, yeah, it's coming, man.
Look at the state of the world, man. I mean, this is like the time for remasters. It's like either make a remaster or keep pushing your games back. So I think that's I'm pretty sure that COVID created the circumstances for Mass Effect, because they're like, development's slow right now. What's something we can put out and fast?
They've been working on it before COVID, according to them, I want to say. They've been working on it for a couple years. And not only that, like, I understand that they're like, hey, we need to release stuff to make money, but it's like, who wants these remasters? I talked about this last week, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Unless you're doing a remake or you're doing something like phenomenal, like, why would I pay for it? I can play it right now, today, on my Xbox. Like, yeah, it's not, I mean, it better, all I can say for these remasters is it better use the SSD incredibly well, so these load super fast. It better be 60 to 120 frames per second. It better be like the highest quality imagery you can imagine. Like the fidelity better be off the charts, because otherwise, what are you doing? Like, this stuff is available to play. I know that on PlayStation it's not, but on Xbox and PC, where 2 of the consoles it's going to be, or 2 of the systems it's going to be coming to, you don't need to pay for it. So
yeah, that's true.
It's just, I get it. Like, a lot of people bought remasters last gen going from PS3 to PS4, but at that time you couldn't play anything backwards compatible. So I kind of understood. You know what I mean? Like, I hated it, but I understood it. And then Microsoft's like, oh, hey, you guys all wanted backwards compatibility? Here you go. And, oh, you want to run better? Xbox One X? Here you go. You want to run even better? Series X with ray tracing and faster loads? Here you go.
Here's the thing with that, though. With Mass Effect, like, I feel okay going back and playing that because I don't have the achievements already recorded on my console. Like, this is a remaster, which means that there's a new set of achievements. So, like,
did you get all of them on the original? Did you get every achievement?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I got as many as I could. I think I was only missing like 6.
From the original Mass Effect?
Yeah, I played that game so many times.
Yeah, that's the one I played the most too.
Did all the loyalty missions. I went back and romanced everybody I could. So
I think you're thinking of Mass Effect 2 or 3. Mass Effect 1 had like 2 romance options and no loyalty missions. But 2 and 3 both had those things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've played all 3 Mass Effects multiple times.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, and it's like... I like it's been probably a good 5 years since I've played the original Mass Effect, so I'm okay going back through that again.
I guess, man. I mean, I love Mass Effect 1. We've talked about it several times. If they make the shooting better, great. But if they touch the leveling system for Mass Effect 1, I will throw a fit. To me, that is still the best Mass Effect game because unlike 2, which you were like gated when you could level up, you had the ability to kind of level as you wanted. Now, 2 is a better game in terms of like shooting and such, but 1 is my favorite by far. Like, even with all the cool moments in 2 and 3, I feel like the gameplay of 1 is just the best. Like, yeah, the shooting is better in 2 and 3, but like the idea of you having more control, more character options, more dynamic conversations, Just all of that stuff felt so good in the original Mass Effect. And not that Mass Effect 2 felt bad. I think Mass Effect 2 is incredible. But I just didn't love the way they were heading, which is, I know they kind of reversed course for 3 and allowed you to level up wherever you wanted. But for me, we've talked about my issues with 3. I fell off because they wouldn't bring over the character from the first game and all this other nonsense. Yeah. I do need to go back and finish that at some point. I can't believe we're talking about remasters this quick. Remakes, I totally understand, because at a certain amount of time, a game should be remade from scratch so people can experience it in the newest way. But, allow the old game to still exist. But remasters, man, like, what are we even doing? Like, putting a new gloss of paint over something, like, that's not even that old?
Well, this also leads me to believe, especially with something like Mass Effect, where they've obviously got a new game in the pipeline, so they're trying to get people stoked for it and kind of look past the bad taste that the other one.
What are you talking about? Everybody loves Andromeda. That's actually the game of 2017.
It was such a great game. Everybody was like, woo!
Everybody remembers that as Super BS's Game of the Year 2017. Yeah. It beat out Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and Cuphead and Assassin's Creed Origin and whatever else. Right. What, Persona 5 came out that year too? Horizon Zero Dawn. That year was insane. So obviously Mass Effect Andromeda, best game of the year, Right. GOT, GOATs, all around. Yeah, man. Well, whatever. It is what it is. I'm just not excited for another world where, BioShock Collection 2. I don't know what they're going to call it this time, but it's like, you got it last generation? Well, we're also going to charge you for it again this generation. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think...
and that game is a good example. Like, it's gone on sale so many times.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a fair price at this point, but it's like, I still have never purchased it because I don't think it's worth it. I can play it on my 360.
Do you want it again?
Yeah. Maybe I'll pick it up at some point for $10 just for the shits and giggles or whatever, but I just don't. Right. I don't know, man. Like, I think there's too many remasters. I'll never forget, like, I got remaster fatigue real quick. I got, what was it called? Dishonored after it came out on Xbox One because I never played very much of it on the 360. I was like, it's gonna be so cool they're releasing it. I played a little bit of it. I'm like, this is a last gen game because it came out like maybe a year and a half in, and it's like, what am I doing paying, like, I think it was $30-$40 for an old game that I already paid for the first time? You know what I mean? So,
what
like
am
Mass
I
Effect,
doing with my life?
Yeah, what am I even doing? Mass Effect is one of those things where, I'll probably get it too because I love that series, but probably not at launch. Yeah. It's gonna have to do a lot to make me want to pay $60.
Right,
for
and
it
again, it all depends on like what I'm playing at the time.
Yeah,
so it might not even be worth my time.
If it came out, like, if it would have come out this year in one of the slow months, I probably would have bought it. You know what I mean? This year has had so many slow months for games. Like, I probably would have got it because it's like the reason why I got Watch Dogs Legion. I'm only playing Apex, really, and kind of like dinking around with other indie games. Let me try this. And now it's like, I don't even want to play more Watch Dogs Legion. So... yeah, man, it's weird. But yeah, right now there's like so many games, I don't even know which one to actually get. And we'll talk about that a little bit more soon too. But like, I think last week, like 10 games all dropped at once or some silly amount. And I don't have the means to play some of them, but it's still like, okay, I'm going to get to that at some point. So I guess I'm playing nothing, Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you think so? I've been debating buying Miles Morales, and I know that's kind of just like a remaster of Spider-Man with an expansion added on, but I just like, there's other things that have taken priority, Well,
how much did you like Spider-Man, the PS4 game? Did you like it a lot?
Not enough. It's okay. It's not my favorite.
Like, see, I enjoyed it quite a bit when it came out. It was one of those things where I didn't expect to like it, and I turned it on, and I played through that, and I stopped playing Dragon Quest XI at the time, and I finished that. I'm not going to buy Miles Morales right now because I think I've told everybody in this podcast multiple times I plan on owning both consoles probably relatively soon if I get a Series X because they have a lot of good trade-in deals where the next console will cost me, because I have the mid-gen upgrades. The next console would cost me maybe like $100. So I just have to buy one and then trade in the other two, and I can get the other one for like next to nothing. If I wanted to sell them online, I'd probably even make it free. So yeah, I will get a PS5. So I'll definitely play Miles Morales. I've heard from the internet that Miles Morales is truly next gen.
The internet never lies, man.
The internet
lies.
They have never lied one time. There's not one liar in the internet. And if anybody says otherwise, I'm gonna flip out. I'm gonna go and start throwing punches. No, but I mean, like the guys at Giant Bomb, right? I listened to them, and they said Miles Morales was truly next gen, and a lot of it has to do with the load times. They say there are next to none. They said there's some bugs with it where like it will bring you back, and you'll have to watch the opening like title card every once in a while when you try to quick resume. But otherwise, because they don't have a quick resume feature, so it's like but they have like a sleep feature. But otherwise, they said it's like there are no load times in that game. Just because the way they built it around the PS5, NVMe and the SSD in there and all this other stuff. And we'll probably get into that actually really soon because I didn't realize it, but we're actually kind of going long right now. But I want to talk about the two last news articles before we really get into this next-gen stuff. The one thing is, we were talking about this in Hearthstone, how every game's moving to live services. They were all, at one point, every game was monthly, if you remember. You know, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 11, every game wanted you to pay a monthly subscription. Then every game moved to games as a service, buy some DLC, buy battle passes, buy, cosmetics, whatever. Now we've gone full circle. According to Game Informer, Epic asks Fortnite players about possible monthly subscription. And supposedly the reception was surprisingly positive. And what the monthly subscription would be is essentially the battle pass. You would get all the things from that, but instead of needing to play for all of it sounds like you still might need to do that. You would just get it. You would get some of the things.
So do you have to have this pass to play all the other ones?
So this is
like, do you have to play all the other games? It's like a subscription service now?
It would be a subscription service for Fortnite. This is all theoretical. This is just like a mailer, like, hey, what would you think if we did this? So nothing's finalized. I would imagine that you would be able to play Fortnite without paying for this subscription, but it's for the people who really want more from Fortnite because you get, according to this, every month you would get an exclusive outfit and you would get 1,000 V-Bucks, which is like a $10 equivalency right now. And that would all be for $14 a month. And you get the season pass, right? So like that's also $10. So like the idea is for these kids who are playing this game nonstop for $14 a month, they're getting a bunch of stuff. And for a lot of them, those exclusives will be totally worth it. You know what I mean?
So it's worth paying that extra money for it.
Yeah, because I think their seasons are similar to Apex, and right now they're only getting money every 3 months. And I don't know if it's the same as Apex, but in Apex, you can earn enough of the currency so you never need to buy the Battle Pass. So I think a lot of these services are trying to figure out the best way to monetize, as they like to call it. Means like, how do you get money from the people? Give us the money. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's I guess it's not too surprising that the reception was positive because I think a lot of the Fortnite players would love this. A lot of them are children and like getting exclusive stuff is like the world to them, and they would also get $10 a month on top of like all the other things.
Dang, man. It's like an allowance.
Yeah, man. It's weird, but I know that game's popular. I'm just wondering if we're going to be moving back to like a dark age of subscriptions again. Because I feel like we're already there with like TV and movies. Like, is it gonna be that way for games? So I don't know, man.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
And the other big news article, like huge, enormous, gigantic one, and this is from Kotaku, is that over 100 backwards compatible PS4 games might have some issues on PS5. There's not a ton to talk about. I mean, we could talk about the fake vape smoke on the Xbox Series X, showing the Xbox overheating and all that junk.
I've loved watching the people doing the ping pong balls on top of the Xbox and watching them float.
I think the only thing that's missing from those videos is like guy from DeVry University who has like crazy hair, that meme guy from like alien Scientology talking about, and it vapes and it smokes like this. But yeah, man, this is kind of, I guess it shouldn't be unexpected because Sony did say that there were going to be issues with some games. But it's kind of been such a weird... The PS5 backwards compatibility thing has been so strange. I feel like we've had to reverse course on what they've said like every other week to the point where I don't feel confident talking about any of it. But according to Kotaku, they had some issues with like Grip, which was a racing game, played several races, no noticeable flaws. Okay, so that one didn't have anything. everybody's golf. There was like flickering scenes and graphics. Flint Hook, there was some slowdown. I saw some video of Assassin's Creed Syndicate looking a little strange, but still working, even though that, if you remember, that wasn't originally supposed to work, and then they reversed course on that. The PlayStation messaging, man, is so bad this generation. Like, I don't know what happened to them. I don't know what's going on, but like all of this messaging with them where it's like, hey, all these games will work. Oh, but some of them won't work. Oh, your Spider-Man save file won't come over to Spider-Man PS4 or Spider-Man PS5 remaster. Oh, wait, now your save file does come over to the Spider-Man remaster on PS5. And it's like, this thing is insane, dude. Like, I don't know if you heard some of the commentary, but I guess even just to put your PS5 in sleep mode, which used to be as simple as holding in the PS button, is now multiple clicks and it's in multiple menus deep. Like, I don't know what's going on with Sony, but I do know that there's like a rumor that I'd like to talk about, that it's just, man, everything's getting so bizarre. Before we get to the games that just released, let's tackle this. So this is kind of the rumor is that Microsoft has approached Japanese developers about buying their studios. Now, I heard about this on Giant Bomb, and they mentioned that, like, yeah, Microsoft is trying to make inroads in Japan. Also on Giant Bomb, they pointed out that Sony only has 11% of the gaming market in Japan. Actually, less than that. I want to say it's like 10.8. The rest is Nintendo. Nintendo has almost 90% of the gaming market in Japan cornered. So much so that, like, some people are saying that Sony has de-emphasized Japan, and the Giant Bomb guys put it, perfectly clearly, which is something I've been wondering about too. If you look at the leadership at Sony now, it's all European, man. Like, all the Japanese leadership is gone. And this is like a really weird thing because, like, Neo 2, those games that we just talked about, those are Koei Tecmo games. What if Microsoft buys them? What if they buy Konami? What if they buy one of these other studios? What if they actually do make an inroad in Japan and finally will get those Japanese games that Microsoft occasionally gets, then doesn't get, then occasionally gets? Now they're kind of seeing Japanese studios don't seem to want to make games for them. I don't know, man. What do you think about this, though? Like, what do you think about the idea of Microsoft potentially being more popular in Japan than Sony, or Sony giving up on Japan?
It seems unreal because, like, Sony has always been Japan's, like, go-to, that they've always been that. Yeah. And with, I don't know, like, if they're pulling out of Japan, it doesn't seem, well, okay, so on the flip side of that, if Xbox, the rumors are true and they end up buying Sega, it would make sense because Sega's kind of a staple of Japan, so it'd be Sega and Nintendo back, and PlayStation would be, I don't know what they would be doing, Then they still have their, like, contracts with Square, but I wonder how long, if they were to pull out of the Japanese market, how long would the contract like that last? Where would Square's loyalties be after that? Because they're a very, like, very Japanese company,
Yeah, they're very nationalistic. There's like a kind of not xenophobia, but like an imperialism and nationalism that Japan has with its companies that we in America don't really have because we don't have a ton of American producers, outside of like the ones that we do. They all make stuff in other countries anyways. So it's like, we don't have that type of loyalty based on location or geography. I do want to point out that, like, according to other reports, Sony is stressing that they're not drifting away from Japan. But that idea, that rumor, it sounds awfully true, man. Like, I think his name was Kaz Hirai. He used to be, like, the head of Sony, I want to say. Yeah. And now it's Jim Ryan, I want to say, who is, like, from Ireland or the UK. It's Jim Ryan, I think. And he replaced it sounds like a Japanese man, John Tsuyoshi Kodera. What's the guy who runs Guerrilla Games? Do you remember his name? Hermit?
I do not.
Herman Holst. That's his name. He was also promoted to be, like, super high up in Sony. So it's, like, weird to see not only in, like, all their U.S. representation, Sean Layton, I think is actually his name. Oh, Sean Layden. I was right. Sean Layden. I cannot remember this. Adam Boyes. A lot of the U.S. Representation is gone too. So it's just really this shakeup in Sony. Just, man, it's so weird. The whole thing is just strange to me.
Makes you wonder, like, what is going on behind the scenes.
I mean, yeah, and I'm not that I hope Sony doesn't get these games, but I would love to see Japan support Xbox again. Like, I think it's great when more people can play stuff. And I think games like Final Fantasy 16 only coming to PS5 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake only coming to PS4, like, that's kind of lame. You know, like, you released Final Fantasy 13 on the original or on 360, and then you released Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox One, but you're not going to release the next games because there's just less people in Japan. It's like, we're essentially talking about different builds, man. But yeah, I know that we're actually really going over, but I would like to talk about a couple things real quick.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's talk about the new games that released, and there were a ton of them. And before we talk about them, I'm going to give you a list of names. I want you to tell me what you think the lowest Metacritic score from all of these games are.
Okay.
This is Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, The Pathless, Bug Snacks, Astro's Playroom, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Kingdom Hearts: Melody of Memory, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Demon's Souls, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Godfall. Which one had the lowest Metacritic score? It's a lot of games.
Kingdom Hearts, I want to say.
We all wish, man. No, it was actually Godfall. Do you remember what Godfall is?
No.
It's like the looter slasher that was a PS5 PC exclusive that was announced at the Game Awards last December. Honestly, I watched some videos. It looks good. It doesn't look like I think it's a $70 title. It doesn't look $70 good, but it looks like I would try it out if it was cheap. Just listening to all of those games, those all came out last week, just so you know. Like, that's insane. A new Call of Duty came out last week, and I feel like nobody's been talking about it. Have you heard much about the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War?
No. I've heard a lot of people saying they want to play it. I haven't heard from a lot of people who have actually played it.
It came out yesterday. We're recording on a Saturday. It came out yesterday, and the internet hasn't really talked about it at all. It is just so weird, man.
I wonder if it got lost in all the new console talk or what's going on.
I don't know, man. I think it's just COVID. I think we are living in a world where they don't have the same type of events and such that build up the hype and the excitement and all the people reviewing it and all the press. And I think, the company's so big, they probably thought, hey, we don't need to do any of that stuff. And maybe they're right. Maybe the sales will still be good, but I don't feel like I've heard about it at all recently. Like, I mean, I searched for it, so I read a little bit about it, but I don't feel like there was a lot of ground swelling for it. And it also came out the week of console launch, which is good, but there's a lot of other games, What do you think the highest reviewed game is? Do you remember that list, or do you need me to go over it again?
I want to say Assassin's Creed, because that's the only one I've been seeing in the news.
Not even close, man. You want to try one more try before I tell you?
No, tell me. What is it?
Okay. It's Demon's Souls. The one PS5 exclusive.
Sense.
Yeah, I'd really love to play that. I never played the original. However, it should be known that Demon's Souls doesn't have that many reviews right now. I think it's like 7 critical reviews. So it's like it got reviewed super late. So by next week it could lower. But yeah, man, there's a lot of games in the mid 80s on Metacritic. Demon's Souls is the only above 90, but there's so many games to play. I don't even know what to play. Like, I would love to play Yakuza Like Dragon, but should I play that on my current Xbox One X? Same with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Could be a blast.
Right.
But it's like, should I just wait till I get a Series X and experience them a better way? I don't know, man. And with Smart Delivery, you don't really have to decide. You could play it now and then get it. It's better, but it's also like, I don't know. The whole thing feels weird. I don't know what you feel about this weird next-gen launch that is technically current gen.
I mean, it feels weird to me because there's such a lack of games out for it, and that's
not really though. I mean, you listen to that list. Yeah, there's a lack of exclusives for each of them, but there's tons of games. 12 games.
There's a ton of games, but I mean, like, just the lack of, like, exclusive, new, exciting, like I want to buy a Sony for this reason or Xbox for this reason. There's a lack of that. It's all just fan loyalty, that's what it seems like.
I mean, this is fanboyism at its finest. People are buying stuff based on what they like. However, I've seen more people support Xbox this generation than ever before because of its backward compatibility and the game's just running better. But yeah, man, this is the craziest generation. Like, just to give you a heads up, games that are backwards compatible actually run faster, or they load faster on the Xbox Series X, but games that are this current generation load slightly faster on the PS5. So it's like the whole thing is just bonkers. Like, okay, you can spend $220 and get a terabyte additional hard drive space for your Xbox Series X, but for Sony, which you could choose at some point to get drives, they need to patch that ability in. So you're going to run out of I think they have 600 usable gigs. Say you bought Black Ops Cold War, you want to guess what that game guess how much space that game takes up? Just give a guess.
How much?
Just guess. I want you to guess because it's insane.
It's 80 gigabytes?
More than 200 gigabytes. A third of the hard drive in an PS5 and a quarter of the hard drive in an Xbox Series X. That's how much space Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War takes up.
Yeah, right.
We're going to all be out of this space before you know it, man. This is just like going to be probably one of the strangest generations because the hard drive changes are so big. But yeah, man, there was a lot more I wanted to talk about with the future and stuff, but we have talked for some time. And Mimi, a tie boy. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we hit the road?
No, I think that's it, man. This is a pretty packed episode.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot more than I thought. A lot of it is just like hearsay and rumors and what we think about this next gen. But till we both get one, or till you get one at least, we can't really even talk about it with any type of definitive experience. So I'm hoping that by the next time you hear us next week, maybe old JP over there will get Series X and he can tell us all the smells, because that's what he's going to do. He's just going to smell it, right?
All the smells. I will tell you all the smells.
Smell it for us. That is what everybody wants to know. What's the smell? What's this essence? Give us that essence.
What's this smell like? Please tell me.
My doodly, everybody is waiting for us next week. We will be there. Hit us up at SuperBSCast, right? At gmail.com. I think it's SuperBS.
That's right.
Is SuperBS Gamescast or SuperBSCast?
SuperBSCast at gmail.com.
SuperBSCast at gmail.com. You heard it here first, not from those liars over there telling you it's SuperBS Gamescast. That's a lie.
Lies.
Stop listening to those liars.
Lies.
I'm looking forward to next week because I'm really hoping that we have found a Series X by then. Well, you will hopefully have yours. Did they give you a estimated time of arrival?
Yeah, they said Thursday. So
they're liars. Can't trust them.
Keeping my fingers crossed,
I will I will uncross your fingers for you so it doesn't arrive by Thursday. I'm going to go over to your house and uncross your fingers for you. I'm not going to do that as COVID, okay? I'm not going to possibly enter his house. I could die. Okay, my doodly. We will chat soon in a different world. Peace.
Late.
Oh, yeah.